10x your service design offering with Smaply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smaply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smaply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.
Hello and welcome to Bringing Design Closer. Our goal is to have conversations that inspire and help move the dial forward for organisations to become more human-centred in their approach to solving complex business and societal problems. My name is Gerry Scullion. I'm the founder of This Is HCD, and we've been creating content on This Is HCD for probably over 5 years now. And if you really want to help us out, please leave a review wherever you're listening, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google. Those lovely algorithms really do love your interaction, and it helps our community grow, and every little helps. If you don't leave a review, you can go one better by telling people that you work with about the podcast, or telling people that you're in your tribe about the podcast. Now, we launched a space in thishishcd.com recently where you can take courses on visualization, design research and service design topics, so please check it out. It helps support the podcast. In this episode, I speak with the wonderful June Holley from networkweaver.com. And June is at the forefront of thought leadership when it comes to community building, and we speak about all matters of what community and network means, and how they differ, and how to go about fostering communities for change makers. It's highly relevant for our audience. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's jump straight in. June, how are you doing? I am delighted to speak with you. How are you?
I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Absolutely. I'm so delighted to be with you, June. You know, I've been a long-term fan, and for anyone listening, they're like, wow, Gerry's voice is really low. It's because I've got a cold at the moment. It's one of the gifts that you get at the end of the season in Ireland, where you move from summer into autumn, which we're at that point at the moment. But where are you coming from, June?
I live in Athens, Ohio, in the United States.
Nice. Athens, Ohio. It's a big college town, I believe, isn't it?
Right. But it's a very small outside of the university. So it's a delightful, innovative place to live. Very friendly.
And are you originally from Ohio?
Well, I was born in Ohio, but I've lived all over the U.S.
All your life. And June, tell us how you describe what you do.
Well, I am a network weaver.
Right.
And that's a term that talks about someone that is always looking around and thinking about how they can connect one person that has certain interests and needs with another person who also maybe has that interest and can help that other person. So, like, I'm all about connecting in ways that help build community.
Nice. It's not too dissimilar to matchmaking. When I hear you describe it there as well.
It is. I have this activity called speed networking that's like speed dating,
right,
that helps people get to know each other and figure out who they want to dive in deeper with.
So what does a good connection look like, and how do you do that?
Well, I think a good connection starts with listening. You know, where you meet somebody and you start trying to find out about them and, you know, how they are as a person. We're all so unique, and we're just this amazing bouquet of different interests, gifts, skills, needs. So I think it starts out by trying to ask those questions and give the space to people to tell about themselves. And then you can start thinking about, well, how do I connect with that person? You know, how can I bring out the best in them and connect them to others that are going to help them out or offer them something.
And how did you get into this space? Like, because it's, you know, a lot of the listeners from This Is HCD are designers, or I call them change makers, really. And I guess network weaving might be a kind of a new phrase for some people, like, you know. So I'd love to know about your journey into this space.
Well, when I was really little, I always wanted to help the world be a better place for more people. I could sense that even as a young child. And so when I was a young adult, I I tried to study change and how we could change the world. So I came across complexity science before that was really a thing. And I, there was a lot in there about change. But when I started talking about things like self-organizing or emergence, this was back in the 80s,
Right.
people rolled their eyes. So then I started talking about networks.
Yeah.
Because that's a key part, like the connections, the relationships is a way to talk about all of that. And people say, oh yeah, I get networks, I get connections, relationships. And so that's how I the whole understanding of networks, because it seemed like we weren't paying enough attention to our relationships, both with other people and with the rest of the world, you know, the sort of natural world.
I mean, that all sounds brilliant. And like from the human-centered design network is what we have in our title. I guess somewhat foolishly in 2017, that was part of my mission. I was trying to connect people with other people. And we've gone on a journey, like we have Slack, okay? And you know, as of the time of writing, 7 days away, we're killing off Slack because we just couldn't get it to work. Okay, it wasn't a facilitator of meaningful conversations, and there was noise in people's lives, and it took an awful lot of time, really, for people to try and sift through things. How do you feel the evolution of community, like when you had this journey into it in the 80s, how it's evolved to where we're at now in a distributed society, and what does that look like?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the part that's missing is people seeing themselves as these network weavers. So it's like if we all start looking around and noticing, ooh, there's lots of people talking about this. And because I think networks are really powerful when you help organize smaller gatherings within the network. So it's like, what conversation are some people ready to have? And so then a network weaver will look at that and say, okay, I'm going to set up a Zoom call with these dozen people. And we're just going to spend an hour, hour and a half digging in deeply and try to maybe collect some understanding about that. We might end up doing something together. We might not. But this idea that you notice something that needs to emerge and you help bring people together to explore that. And that's the part that I just love and find really exciting.
So like the whole kind of sparking up multiple Zooms on topics, and it might lead somewhere. Who would be who's part of your network, and what do they look like at the moment, like in terms of not just personalities but backgrounds, I guess? Is it academics?
A year and a half ago, I decided to sort of retire and stop doing contract work.
Okay.
And the first thing I did was try to become an international person.
Yeah.
And so with people in Africa and New Zealand and South America. And it was just so amazing for me, particularly connecting with people that were actually trying to make change on the ground.
Absolutely.
And so now I have this vast network of people around the world, and I'm trying to begin connecting them with other people. Like Africa, for example, is so unconnected with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And yet there's so much exciting
work
stuff happening there that we need to learn from.
Absolutely.
So my network is really, I'm like a meta grandmother networker. I'm trying to get the big picture and then help help things happen, help
Yeah.
things start to emerge out of that, because we have some pretty big problems we're trying to deal with now,
Yeah.
and we really need a lot of people
So
working on
I'm
this
definitely
stuff.
getting a sense of an elder, kind of
You're
from
right.
a a community perspective, and
Hmm.
I'd love to tap into that a little bit more. When I say community and I say network, they're interchanged in my vocabulary. Is that fair? Is it, or are they
Well, they're
separate?
a little bit different. When I think of network, that's just like a pair of glasses you put on
Mm-hmm.
to notice all relationships. A community is more about a sense of belonging, a sense, that you have some things that you want to maybe do or explore together. So it's a more binding kind of
Mm.
nurturing space, whereas a network is just about
Connection.
paying attention to who's relating to whom, and especially who's being left out, who's on the edge that
Yeah.
needs to be in the center. So
And
it's a little
where does
different.
and where would purpose sit within community for you?
Well, right. So usually communities form around a purpose. There's some
Mm.
particular thing that this particular community wants to do, or that drives them, that gives them meaning. Whereas like a network can be a much more amorphous term. It doesn't have necessarily have purpose or boundaries.
So a network is really about the value exchange, in a relationship. I guess that's what I'm hearing in my filtered mind when I'm talking about it. Whereas community is much more
Yeah.
richer and meaningful. Um,
Right.
when
Now, some networks, people that call themselves, we are the XX network,
hmm,
they actually are a community.
yeah, okay. So
But network is a broader term.
yeah. Now, one of the things I was mentioned to you in our emails back and forth was something that really surprised me an awful lot is some people have said that I'm a community builder, okay, like, and I'm trying to bring people together and a change maker, and we did that through the Doing Design Festival, which we had, and we did it with the Slack channel for a small while, and then we started running city based events
Hmm.
pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic came, and then we were like, okay, we'll do them all online, and it all kind of went a bit skewy, and it got more difficult. But we were running these events, which were effectively like video podcasts, and there wasn't much conversation afterwards in any of the channels. And I started to sit back and I was like, well, what does design look like in the next, I don't know, 5 years, in not too distant future? And I believe in the distributed world, I think there's a huge role to play for the change makers about bringing people together. Pretty much what you're doing now. I'd love to know, how do people get started in this, and what does a good network weaver look like?
Well, I think I'm really intrigued by this
Mm,
idea of a network weaver as a facilitator of what I call co-design. So let me
yeah,
just talk a little bit about how co-design differs from human-centered
yeah,
design or other kinds of design.
yeah,
So it's a participative process where you may have an expert
yeah.
involved, but really it's the set of people who want to design or experiment. They want to co-create something together, and
Mm,
there's a facilitator, and I would call them a network weaver, though you might call them a
yeah.
designer, but who actually brings people together to think about something they want to create. We
Hmm.
need to really co-create a new culture, a new set of structures, institutions, ways of doing things that are healthier, where we're peers, where we're being supportive of each other. And that's what co-design can do.
Yeah,
And so you can take a chunk of, like, let's say you have people in a community and they want to create a community garden.
yeah,
Well, so somebody, a network weaver, brings them together, gets them to talk about what they've got, what they need to be created, and would ask them hard questions like, okay, we're talking about a community garden, but where are the children? We need to bring them into this discussion.
Yeah.
And so, this is a different than a designer. This is like a facilitator of design. And I'm really intrigued with this because I think we're going to build this new world just project by project by project, bringing people together, getting them to think about what they're doing. Like I'm working now with a makerspace.
Yeah.
And that's a place in the U.S. I don't know if the rest of the world calls them that, but, it has equipment that you could use. And I'm really interested in the fiber and fabric part. So we are convening people to think about, how can we help more people learn how to sew? How can we help people upcycle their clothing? And we're having so much fun getting together and co-designing these new kinds of activities. And it's making a huge difference in our community. It's starting to really get people excited. We have more and more people coming into the space, wanting to get plugged in, wanting to stop buying fast fashion, whatever, and thinking, I can make my own clothes. And so that's a perfect example of how there are thousands and thousands of places in our lives where we can become these facilitators of co-design.
So I'm hearing so many similarities in what you're talking about there in terms of design and cultural and transformational programs in businesses they're trying to push design into the organizational DNA, and they're all struggling. They're all, any of the ones I've been speaking to or I coach, they don't come to me if they're killing it. But there's a lot of things there that when you're talking about that I imagine you've less control over. Okay, so it might be at the macro level where people are teaching each other how to sew, and stuff that just happens at the very kind of personal level. And I think organizations typically have a problem with that when they can't design for that. It's just it's a human thing, two people getting together to teach each other something. How do you enable that to occur? Because that's a really tough one.
Yeah, but it's a thing I call clustering. It's like when a network weaver notices there's a need.
Yeah.
People want to learn how to sew. And then they bring together people who are interested in that, and they try something out. They do a pilot. So it might be that they say every Thursday, anybody that's interested in mending their clothes, learning about mending, is going to get together. We have an hour and a half. Just come in. So I try it, but then the important piece is to spend time on talking about how it went. Design is not a single event. It's this ongoing process where you're continually trying things out, maybe mucking it up, looking at what you've just done and saying, well, nobody showed up. So we need to think about marketing. What are ways that we could get the word out that we're having this mending session on Thursdays? Yeah. And so then the group tries some things out. Again, they're co-designing in a continual process. They try that out, people come, and then people come and they don't have enough needles or thread, so you have to be constantly looking for opportunities to improve and refine what you're doing. And that very process changes people. That very process is teaching them how to be more reflective, learn more, not be afraid of failure, knowing that you can continually improve things and change things. People are changing. They're building a new culture.
This is in the maker places that you're talking about in Ohio, correct? Okay.
This is just an example.
Absolutely. I know. Yeah. So is that a program that people sign up to, or is it like a drop in where people can just say, "There's this cool thing that happens with June," and
It's both.
hmm,
Like we have some times that are like I'm doing a Saturday afternoon. Volunteers come in and we take all the fabric donations that have come in the last week
hmm,
and we put them out on cardboard pieces and put them on the shelves. But but it's open 6 days a week
wow,
for anybody to drop in.
yeah. And
And so you have both opportunities.
so, how do you measure the success, like of the? Is it growth? Is it more people, or what does that look like in through your lens?
So this is a really
Mm,
interesting area where a lot of us are thinking about, well, there's new ways that we need to evaluate or capture what we're doing.
mm,
And we're just starting to think about ways. Like one way you can is by having people basically a survey that shows all the people they know, and that then you get a
ah,
network map and you watch it grow. It's a beautiful thing. But there are many other ways that you can track what you're doing. And part of it is you need places and spaces, whether it's Slack or an email list or
mm,
whatever, where people can find out what's going on. We have an Instagram channel
yeah,
and we're watching that grow. So, but it's not really just about growth.
yeah,
It's about the depth of the relationships, and that's harder to
yeah,
capture. But I think part of it is if you notice that people are coming in, they're building relationships, they're doing things, and then they are initiating
mm,
new activities. And that's like the crux of it all. If people
yeah.
are doing that, you've got something that's really working.
It's like it's like a call to arms, if you don't mind me saying it, like in terms of almost reflecting back to what I imagine the 60s and 70s could have been like,
Hmm.
because when I was growing up, out you go at 9 o'clock in the morning in the summer holidays, and we were out in the fields. Don't mean to sound too idyllic. It wasn't always idyllic where I grew up, but community has definitely shifted. And when I look at my own kids, they don't get pushed out the door at 9 o'clock in the morning, and those behavioral and social skills are probably not where you'd imagine I was at the same age. How are you seeing the effect of the community in terms of social interaction and well-being? Because I
See,
think there's a
that's
huge
what
thing. Yeah,
people love about
yeah. I think
like
there's a
a
huge benefit
place
there.
like the maker space, or we have
Mm,
other things like that happening in our community. And even in Zoom sessions with lots of juicy breakout sessions,
yeah,
people want to be interacting with others
yeah.
in meaningful ways.
Hmm.
And that's the network weaver is always looking for opportunities for that to happen. And because people just like yesterday, two young women that, I know through various things, I taught them how to can and make salsa. And so the three of us chopped tomatoes outside
Mm,
and chopped garlic and onions, and then at the end of the day we had all these lovely jars of salsa. We were building community. I was able to share something that I've been doing for many years.
hmm.
So it's that kind of thing where I reached out and they said, "Oh, we want to learn how to can."
Yeah,
And you start building community as you're doing that. We talked about all kinds of things in their lives, and just explored a lot of different topics while we're chopping
yeah.
tomatoes.
I mean, some people might listen and kind of go, "Well, why would that be of interest to me? Like chopping tomatoes with, or tomatoes, as we say in Ireland, tomato."
Yes.
Um, why would that be? And my just to replay that to people, like
Yes.
through the business lens, or organizational lens, they'd be like, "Well, I couldn't really tell my boss that we're going to be chopping tomatoes and making salsa and stuff." I'm like, But that's what fosters the connection. And that's what fosters the meaningful connections. It's not about sitting together and learning how to do an Excel spreadsheet over, hours and hours and hours. What you're talking about there is bringing people together around a shared interest and a common interest.
Right. So I do this also around a lot of other topics.
Yeah.
In fact, things like network weaving, where, recently I had some workshops with groups in Africa who are doing community development.
Wow,
and
nice.
we were able to come together and hear stories about their local activities, and the other participants would be very supportive and help them with challenges. So, that's a different kind of setting, but it's that same thing where you build community. You take the time at every session to help people build relationships. So we do this thing called twosies, and people go off in rooms and they talk in depth about each other. They find out what each other's doing. And then when they get together in the small work groups, they know enough of the people. You can have a really productive design session about whatever it is that they're working on.
So the twosie thing, I've heard of something similar to that before, but it's about creating trust. That's in my understanding of it is. What is it about trust that's so important? And it seems like an obvious question, but trust and community, what do you see goes hand in hand with that, like safe spaces and so forth? So how do you design for that?
And the main thing I think about trust is helping people learn to accept others, even if they're different, and for people to feel that they are accepted just as they are. Often people think trust is about similarities, and I think that's really dangerous. Because we need to be able to trust people who are different from us. So giving people space to hear each other's stories and to really listen, realize that listening, like I just talked to this woman and she said, when I really talk to somebody else, I don't ask them a lot of questions. I just give them a lot of space and show them that I'm really interested and I'm really listening. And they will just spill it all out, whatever they need to talk about. And so I think having those spaces, that's something we can all facilitate. I think that one problem with Zoom is that people didn't put enough space for twosies, for small groups to meet, because that's where that relationship building happens. If you have more than like three or four people in Zoom together, you're not going to have that same kind of space where people can really build those deeper, more trusting relationships.
Yeah, that's true. The dynamic shifts the more exponentially, the more people are involved in that group. It's harder for them to get up to speed, and I've been guilty of that. Giving people 4 minutes in groups of 3 or 4, say hello to each other, and then pull them back into the main room and when facilitating. And people are, oh, it's too short. I'm like, yeah, anyway.
Right, it's too short. People really want that time to dig in with others and find out, what do I have in common with this person that we could meet elsewhere after this meeting? Because that's the real sign of success, is if people get to know each other well enough that then they're going to say, hey, let's do our own session tomorrow or next week.
I'm going to pull you back to a thing that you said about 15 minutes ago, about mapping out all of the people that are involved. How do you do that, and what does it look like, and where does it live? And I'd love to see that. I might have seen something similar already. Is it Kumo? It was one of the tools, I think, you guys.
Yeah.
But what does that look like at scale? Like, is that at the online networkweaver.com thing? That's where all the people are involved, is it?
Well, I mean, I think that, are you talking about people learning how to map their networks?
So as opposed to everyone going back through you, which would probably send you
Right. Because
send you
I don't do
bonkers.
that. But if they are interested, there is a group of people that meets like once a month
Okay.
to talk about how to learn how to do that network mapping. If you go, there's a network weaving Facebook group. And if
Okay.
you go on that, you can see the announcements for those sessions.
Okay.
Right now, it still takes some investment of time to learn how to map networks, but I'm working with people who are trying to make it so if you go on to a discussion place or whatever and you fill out a profile, that automatically creates a map that then you can look at and you can do submaps of people with the same interest.
Okay.
So that's something that's in progress right now.
Discussion place, is that a thing on the website that we can direct people to?
No, just like if anybody has like a discussion board, like Buddy Press or something like that, or
very cool.
You can actually set it up so that it's a network map.
It's
if anybody's interested, they can email me and I can connect them with people that are working on that. So they can email me at June Holley, HOLLEY @gmail.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to wrap up the conversations with something that people can take away with action. Okay, you mentioned there about twosies, but people who are working in businesses at the moment and they want to start fostering a community of change makers internally, and that's something that we're going to be looking at more in This Is HCD, about bringing people together and just regular conversations and community and stuff, and it'll be all part of the new This Is HCD College, which I've put up on thisishcd.com. But what are the things that people can do to really start off in this? Like, maybe there's things that they can add to their Zoom sessions or post Zoom sessions or post connections in the office. What advice would you give to people to just start in their own journey?
Well, on the networkweaver.com site, there is a packet of free resources, like 50 free resources that have tons of processes that you can use to start network weaving. So it's www.networkweaver.com. And then there's a resources page and you can download the free resource package.
I'll put a link to that one in the show notes.
Great. And so it has all kinds of activities like speed networking, where you just give people a chance to talk with somebody that they don't know and about a question, to doing simple Post-it note mapping, which you can either do online or face-to-face. So there's a lot of very simple activities that you can just add to your current repertoire that will help people start building those relationships or become more aware of relationships. And that they can help people connect.
And you do have the book, which I've just found on the networkweaver.com, which I was saying to June before, I couldn't get it on Amazon, which shoot me now. But that book up there, Introduction to Network Weaving, which is a practical guide for individuals or groups interested in the basic skills to improve the effectiveness of network building. So that is available up there as well. But you mentioned to me before, and I'd be doing you a huge disservice if we didn't give a shout out. You're working on a book at the moment, and I was like so excited to hear that, but also how you're going about it. Maybe tell us a little bit more about what you're working on.
Well, so the book is called Transformation: Co-Creating a World That's Good for All of Us. And I'm writing it on Miro, which is this online whiteboard. And I have boxes where I capture links and visuals because I'm a very visual thinker. And then I've invited other people to come on and put Post-it notes with smart remarks or other resources or images that they want, and trying to have convenings where we look at different parts of this together. So I'm trying to figure out a collaborative way to write a book. And so far, it's been tons of fun.
Absolutely.
And if anybody's interested in transformation,
get
feel
in touch.
free to contact me.
Yeah, I'll definitely get in touch. And like, speaking of collaborative books and stuff, the only one that I've ever seen it before and have been involved in is my former business partners, Marc and Marcus and Adam, who wrote This Is Service Design Doing, and Jakob as well, of course, wrote this book, This Is Service Design Doing. And I remember, I got an invite to contribute to the book, and they're like, we'll be online at, I was in Sydney, I think it was at 9 o'clock in the morning my time, which was very convenient. And there was 200 and something people on the Google Doc at the same time, and it was being written, and people were commenting and arguing about certain things, and it was
great.
Yeah, it was crazy experience, but it was a really collaborative kind of process. I know in the back end, I've all heard individually that like how hard it was to edit it at the end, like to bring it all back together, because so many voices and so forth. But that sounds like it's a really interesting thing, and anything that this podcast or thisishcd.com can help, just say the word. I know the people listening here, they're probably going to ping you on an email now saying, I want to get involved. So that's great. June, I'll put a link to all those things in the show notes.
Thank you.
But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for giving me your time, your energy, and your knowledge and your wisdom, and sharing it on this episode of This Is HCD.
I've loved being here. It's been delightful talking with you.
So there you have it. That's all for this episode of Bringing Design Closer. If you like this episode, feel free to visit thisishcd.com, where you can access our back catalogue of over 100 episodes, with episodes related to service design, product management, design research, and much, much more. Now, if you're interested in design and innovation training, feel free to check out our business, thisisdoing.com, where you can join online classrooms and learn from the world's best design and innovation leaders. Join the This Is HCD newsletter, where you'll receive updates from the network, and also, if you're interested, apply to join the Slack community on thisishcd.com. Stay safe, and until next time, take care.